Am I okay to record?
Yeah, sure. But I'll send you the recording, Jenny. That'll be easier, won't it?
Yeah.
Connor.
So how many people are coming?
3 people.
Hello, Jermaine.
Hello, Jermaine.
Hi.
Hello.
Hiya.
All right. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. And do we have a Connor Cathcart?
Hello, how are we doing?
Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. All right.
Jane.
Ding ding. I love that noise.
It's so real, isn't it? Edward.
Hope everyone's got their glasses, reading or otherwise. All right. I suppose we better kind of announce the first performance. So thank you for coming, everyone. This is No Bars and Jenny Berry presenting Stigma, Family and Incarceration, a workshop with poetry, performances and a discussion. And we're going to start off with a performance by Jenny. We'll just put in right now that it's an 18+ event. We will be respecting everyone's voices, abilities, pronouns, and do direct message if you have any accessibility issues or similar. All right, over to you, Jenny.
Cool, thank you so much, Kelly, and thanks everyone for coming and Drum and Brass. Absolutely. My name's Jenny Berry. I'm a performance poet from Salford and very man-car kid, if you can already tell. And for the past 5 or 6 years, I've gone into prisons and ran workshops with inmates and ex-offenders. I've worked from the ages of 7 to 70 in the criminal justice system using poetry and spoken word to help them have a voice. The reason I do what I do is I was a very shy girl, believe it or not, and when I got a bit older, I realised I suffered with something called body dysmorphia, and I was a very angry, very, very angry girl. And poetry helped me find my voice, so I kind of want to use it to help others. I've recently published a chapbook called The Great Escape, and that's got 20 poems in about what I've seen in the prison system. Now, I wanted to use my book to platform creativity and the arts in prisons. So the front cover has been done by an amazing photographer who is a recovered addict. And each chapter has artwork by prisoners in Northwest prisons. And I recently had another book launch, and one of the artists came on board and talked about his experience. In fact, I couldn't think that because I didn't ask him. But yeah, so it's about, I want to promote this, do a couple of poems and talk about stigma, because being a poet in a prison, I see all kind of angles, not just the prisoner, but the staff, the families, the ripple effect. And I thought we could all just open up a bit of dialogue about that. Is that sound okay to everyone? I've just seen floating heads at the side.
Yeah, that sounds good to us.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go straight into my first poem, and I'll tell you why I've chosen this. I write quite gritty, and I swear, by the way, in some of my poems, just to prepare you all. This one is called My Ex is Around the Corner, and I do it at many of my gigs and things like that. But when I first went into a prison, Forest Bank prison in Salford, and I kind of got this opportunity to go in, I started using this to get the lads in the room, because they were like, "Miss, I'm not doing Shakespeare." And I was like, well, good, because never am I. I'm from Salford. So I think we've all got an ex somewhere that we hate, or an ex-boss, an ex-lover. So I'll go with this one to open up the night. My ex is around the corner. The annoying, exasperating existence, like living bacteria from a distance or bed bugs under your cover of an irritating ex-lover. Like reoccurring meningitis, a bad migraine or cystitis, or being struck by lightning twice, seeing the ex is never nice. Peculiar and impetuous, society is incestuous. It hinders, grates and vexes when bumping into your exes. Haunting like a spirit or a lingering distasteful lyric as you attempt with desperation to avoid all conversation. Like an off Sambuca or violent Veruca, they were never here when needed. Now it's like they've been bleeding breeded. Reminders on Twitter, it really is a shitter. You'd have watched Men in Black back to back and then Shawshank Redemption before getting their attention, like a fart in a lift. A smell you'd like to shift, like antibiotics that won't work, or a cough you can't shirk, or conjunctivitis with no fear. Oh, how I wish my ex would fucking disappear. Thank you.
Okay, so something that I recently learned at a socially mediated, social distanced even event with spoken word is the clicking.
Clicking. Thank you very much for that. So you can tell what kind of feelings and emotions I was experiencing when I wrote that about an ex. And I like to work with people with anger problems, and as I'm sure many of you know, rap, music, poetry, there's all different styles, there's no wrong or right, it's what kind of feeds your soul. But I'm all about self-expression. So that was my first one. Kelly, was you going to go on next to something else before?
Let's see. I was going to kind of see where we were at, kind of put down the rules, but we've kind of put the rules down. I think a hint would be if anyone is experiencing any kind of audio issues, if you put yourself on mic, that can help the main speaker. But it sounds like everyone's doing fine for the moment. So if you'd like to start your second performance, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Right. Of course. Okay. Right. So talking about stigma, I'm sure I'll find out in a little while. Some of you may have been in prison, may not. I don't know what your link is to the criminal justice system, but I'm hoping to find out tonight, have a nice little chat. One of the massive things that I came across, I never had a problem with the prisoners. It was always the staff. It was always the staff and always the procedures that did my head in. I wanted to go in and work with male and female offenders and kids. They're a nightmare, but they're a challenge, a good challenge. And this poem is for the staff and people like Drum and Brass, who actually are good. They're not corrupt. They're not taking drugs in, because let's be real, that does happen. I'm allowed to say that. I just saw Kelly's face. From my experiences, I'm not saying any names of prisons, but in any sector, you get corrupt people. But this is for the staff that are good and want to help rehabilitate people. So it's called Angel Wings. So bear with. I'm dead organised usually. Not. Yeah. Okay. So this is many staff literally eat, live and breathe recovery. That's the strapline in the book. And it is for all those good staff. This place is known for its waste of space. Ease off his case. It's for the commonplace, for those marginalised dropouts, overlooked by those tucked in a book, not giving a fuck, rereading the statistics, not the truth. The indigenous digits record real time, breakfast times, burnt toast on the wing times, more than the petty crimes. The grown-ups that can't read, with pockets full of shame, interpreted the same as being thick. Hidden, dyslexic, anorexic, tongue-tied to booze, written off with cigs and booze and limited beliefs. No one hears the good stuff. Sensationalism sells, will sow the chips, and I'm keeping it real, man. Like all those that rose with misdiagnosed conditions were corrected. Staff pushing pride, not grades, making sure the stuff inside doesn't fade. Because it's you, only you that can change. There are young dads behind bars, rubbing the Reebok classics together 3 times because there's no place like home. There's no place like home when you're no longer a dickhead. When you have a place in your family's embrace because you've changed. Press prints of the drug trench raids, corrupt staff and hidden blades. Let's call a spade, it's no laugh. Complexities from way back yonder, there's no magic wand, no spell book to ponder. There are angels. Angels in fancy dress as prison guards and listeners, mentors and teachers, carrying whispers of hope and light, emerging in the darkness, reincarnating life in those who have died inside. Those are the angels of our wings. Thank you. And that was for the good staff that, you know, work tirelessly and get crap pay that actually do want to help, because I've met many of those people. So thank you for that one. And I've got, as I said, I've got brilliant artwork. So many different arts in prison that just help.
That was absolutely brilliant, Jenny. Thank you ever so much for those two performances. And I do think that opening up and talking about the intricacies of the stigma felt by the staff or towards the staff is a really interesting take. But I think that, yeah, if you'd like to kind of open up the floor to a discussion about kind of where your experiences of the stigma has come from, and anything that we might be able to do to work with that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So let me just see how many are on. How many are on? I'd like to get to know people.
We've got 9 of us are here.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm sure, you know, it's no news that so much stigma surrounds prisons. Obviously, with prisoners, I've been in literally in some wings, and I've had free reign of some prisons, which is great. And I've wanted to go on certain wings, and the staff at the gates have actually said, oh, I won't bother with them idiots down there and stuff. And I mean, you carry that stigma in there, and then you carry the stigma when you come out. So it's like, all right, you're locked up because you've done something wrong, we know, but how can we get this stigma removed? Because I've met so many different people, so many different prisoners of all different kinds of levels of education, work experience, like some not educated, some grown men that actually couldn't read with malign pockets full of shame because they'd never been taught. If you're not taught something, how the bleeding are you meant to know how to do it? Do you know what I mean? And I just wanted to speak to everyone here, really, if you feel comfortable. If you don't want to speak up, that's fine. Of what you think about the stigma of prisoners and also the family. I've done a lot of work with prisoners' family and children. I've sometimes worked in pupil referral units, and obviously they've kept it to myself, confidentiality. And I've been working with that child's father in a prison, and none of them know, because I couldn't let them know that, just in my different roles. And that child's been written off in his own head and on his estate, or wherever he's from, that he's no good, he's rubbish because he's from a family whose father or mother's in prison, and they're serving a hidden sentence there. And that's not spoken about enough, I don't think, because it's not your fault your parents in prison. It's not at all. And also the staff I wanted to talk about, because people gave me so much crap for wanting to go in prisons, and I was like, oh my God, there's actually stigma about me wanting to go into prison. People just stop judging everyone and let them do what they want. So I don't want to sit here and go on like a webinar. I just wanted to open up. So I'm going to ask a question, and if anyone feels like they want to put their hand up and get involved, that'd be great, but no worries at all. Is anyone a live living example of living with stigma effective in the prison system at all that they'd want to just speak up about and share? Any of them? Blah, blah.
Can I say something, please?
Yeah, hi, who's speaking?
Jermaine.
Jermaine, hi Jermaine, thanks for speaking up.
No, it's fine. I'd just like to say, if you're still in touch with that little boy, tell him that he's worth a million people. He can be who he wants to be. Like, that resonated deeply with me when you said that, because from the minute I was born, like my whole existence, I was just like not acknowledged, rejected, overlooked.
Really?
And I ended up poetry and music to express my emotions and my feelings.
Brilliant, thank you so much for that. And yeah, well, I'm not actually into, I know where he's actually done better, that particular one. But what would you say for those kids who like don't have access or think they don't have access? Because obviously the arts is total medicine in it to everyone. Everyone's saying cut funding for the arts, and then they're reading a book. Hello, what do you think that is in your hand? What would you say, Jermaine? Jermaine, yeah, for people, for young kids or for parents. Are you there? Oh, is Jermaine still there?
Yeah, he is. He's still here. Yeah, he's there.
One of the things, there's a big, massive debate. I've worked with Partners of Prisoners. That's a great charity. Whether or not you should tell your child that you are in prison. I don't think there's a set answer for that, because it's every circumstance has its own set of different tick boxes. I don't think anyone can say that's right or wrong. But for the children out there whose other parents aren't in prison, it's obviously very, very hard for them. And what do you think as society we could do for them? Do you think we should put on more groups like this? Has anyone got any ideas? I want to just open this up as a brainstorming thing. Who's that there? Damon. Did we meet the other day? Thought we did.
So
Yeah, I've got a bit of background noise. Sorry, that's why I'm muted.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it sounds like it's quite systemic. It seems that these ideas of stigma kind of begin in the school system. I mean, I've always kind of been of the opinion that, you know, if you are in school and you're not getting that education, you're not being given any hope for succeeding in a particular world. Yeah. There's kind of like the legal world and there's the less legal world. And if you're not given that kind of motivation or encouragement when you're younger, then when you're older, you're just going to go become stronger in what you believe. And if you're not believing that you're going to be part of the system, then you're not going to be. Obviously, I think we're in a online room with people who have absolutely turned their lives around. So we know that work can be done.
Absolutely. And I worked in a Forest Bank prison in Salford. That's one of them. And so many of the lads I worked with, they thought and would written off at the beginning of being a child that something was wrong with him, and what they'd had dyslexia or a misdiagnosed condition, and they just blamed and took it and manifested in themselves that they were thick or hopeless. And there needs to be much more awareness risen about that, I would say, you know.
I think a lot of people are in prison because and they should not be there. They've got some special needs, for the want of a better phrase, and because that sort of put them in a bad position in society, and they've ended up in prison because there's really not enough places in society for people to go. No, literally, it's like it's like a holding pen for people that society doesn't know how they fit in yet, you know, and that's really bad. I think, I mean, I always say that I think the answer to everything is communicating. Absolutely. But when and how, I'll leave that to better brains.
Well, this is where I think music production is absolutely brilliant. So the kind of music production that started outside the mainstream, so not symphony orchestras, but the creation of like beats and bars to go over the top of that, which is absolutely, it's the opposite of like the kind of the state. It's the kind of making your own DIY. And that's where so many young men and so many people are finding kind of a way through life. And it's kind of like DIY put together places. And I think, you know, the fact that you know, the music and the videos that we're making is so DIY, you can do it yourself, that's giving people belief. So I think we should just do this all over the world all the time.
I think that could be totally made possible with Zoom and the links and everything we've got. I think as well, before I started going in prisons, I thought, just because there's more male offenders around the country, there just is. I also go in a prison called Style, which is for women, near myself. And one day, and I kind of wanted to kick myself after it because I'd never thought of it before, but you always think of a mother on the out, single mommies, banged up. I saw this guy bringing 2 baby twins to visit the mum in prison. And people forget that also fathers are on the out, single fathers. It's not just mums left, dads are left too. And I still think there's a massive stigma around, you know, well, women should get more support. Well, no, should be equal. And men, as we know, they're getting much better at opening up the feelings, but it's still that macho kind of thing they need to keep up, isn't it? But yeah, not to forget that it's a lot of fathers as well on the out.
You mentioned this phrase, the hidden sentences served by the families, Jenny, which I found really quite poignant.
Absolutely. So the hidden sentence is what it is. On the out. It could also just be friends of a family. I've worked with a lot of soldiers in prison who, I'm no judge or anything, but I didn't think they should have been in. They had PTSD. They'd been to war. A lot of Marines I've worked with, and they'd gone out and they felt the anger because they, you know, you build up to go to war, and then they don't, in my eyes, bring them back down again to humanize them again. So they've got all this anger, which they've trained them up to go and do, and they've had a fight and they've killed someone, which is horrendous. I'm not condoning that, but they've not set out to do that, and their families and everyone around them carries so much stigma, and the shit that people go through. Like, let's get it real. Let's use real language. You know, even schools, I've heard of local schools will never admit it, and if they think that their kids from a family where they're in prison, they're a little bit, should we let them in? And just the way groups of society, mums in the playground as well, you know, oh, be careful, don't let your child hang around with them. So there is a massive ripple effect, and it goes out much further than what's to the eye. You know, even siblings work, and it needs kind of bringing awareness to it and smashing it.
What do we know at the moment? This is do we know at the moment if prisons are getting any visits? Because I'm thinking my first kind of, all right, how do we you know, contact these the families would be kind of posters or flyers in the waiting rooms where you're waiting for the visits.
Depends what tier everyone's in. At the minute, the ones near me are not getting visits by families.
I don't think a lot of them. I think a lot of them are not got visits. No, I think they're doing something online, aren't they?
That's
online.
The families can be accessed like through this, and I'm going to introduce Pops to you after this on an email.
Brilliant. Is that some kind of program, not a person?
Sorry, it's a charity, Partners of Prisoners. So they specialise in the partners of prisoners, and I've done a lot of work on the out and on the in with them as well. But I just wanted to raise these points. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know, because sometimes it's hard to get people together to actually speak about it because of the stigma and taboo. And we just need to, you know, sit back and have a cup of tea or whatever you want and just say what we think. That is how we make changes in society.
Well, I'll tell you what. So sorry. I've absolutely cut you off there, Jenny. But something I was thinking the other day was, because, you know, we're on Zoom here. We've just kind of, I think we've both made contact with somebody across the pond. So I'm thinking that got me thinking too, how the stigma is different country to country, because, you know, doubtless in the West, so the UK and America and a lot of Europe, the kind of general, or the stigma might be, you know, these people have broken the law. Our laws are fairly liberal, and so write them off from society. But I was kind of thinking that when you get to other countries, I was thinking of China, actually. There might be a great big kind of social structure or social belief around prison. I hadn't really kind of come to any conclusions, but I was thinking that's, we'll be opening up to places where the stigma is different, and that might allow us to examine the stigma here in more depth.
Well, didn't you say, Jenny, that you were in touch with some American wives?
Yes, I have, and I did invite them here. I've not heard back. Probably time zones as well to remember. I do, because I do a lot of workshops in different time zones. It's really funny. People start in the dressing gown and others are going to work. And yes, that's a really good idea. I'm mainly in touch with American, but China is interesting. I've not thought of that, but that's what we need to do, isn't it? Reach out to others, because basically right now with COVID, everyone is experiencing imprisonment in some way, everyone. And I'm hoping that people will kind of soften and will be less judgmental to prisoners, because it's so hard on your mental health and everything. But yeah, I think you should do that, reach out and get a worldwide Zoom.
Yeah, kind of start studying it.
Edward, do you want to speak?
Yes, so I'm Edward. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Your wallpaper.
Well,
by the way.
Yeah, I did it myself, so it's very I'm not good at DIY. What I was going to say is, I just think it's society, first of all, comes from the top. Society's view of what prison is in the first place. I mean, you were talking about prison outside, you know, this country. When you go to a place like Norway, and I will implore people to watch this a series on Netflix called The World's Toughest Prisons. And there's a bit on Norway, And the Norwegian approach to prison is so different, where people, it's more seen as a place where you're not going there to be punished, but rather you're going there for the government to help you to come back into society and live a more fruitful life in society. And I think once we start to change from the top the way we look at prison, and therefore, change policies to put money into education and all these other things that help people. I mean, in Norway, the prison, they have no cells. It's like you live in an apartment with different rooms, and there are no locks on your door. Nobody comes in and knocks, and you wake up when you. And these are entirely different. And the person that did the documentary was a guy that was he was wrongly accused. They called him the Birmingham 7 or something. I can't remember. And he went to prison and spent, I don't know, 14 years or however many years in prison. And then, now he's a journalist, TV personality. And he was surprised. And what he came to realize, first of all, the prison was so calm. Everybody was so calm, and like I was saying, I think looking at it from the top and how we actually, because if we look at prisons as not a place of punishment, then therefore the stigma in being there in the first place will reduce. If you look at a place like Japan has a more liberal way towards prison as well. But it looks like in this country, and even worse in America, it's like, okay, we're taking you there and we're going to, we're going to really punish you. And
America's
we need to go from that mindset.
Yeah, thank you so much. That you are completely right, and it's frustrating for us at the bottom, but that's why it's so great to have these chats to see what we can do, what just here now, and to reach out in communities. But I have seen the world's toughest prisons, but I don't remember that particular part, so I'm going to rewatch that now. Thank you so much.
That's the worst picture of me possible.
Hi.
Someone else just joined.
Can they see me?
Yeah.
Abby.
Yeah, welcome, Abby. Go there. You need to see what Jermaine's saying. Jermaine's waving.
I'm not sure where we're up to in the running order, but
worry not. I've got eyes on the time at all times. So welcome to the new participants. We've got 15 more minutes of
picture.
So what we're doing is we're keeping our audio on mute.
Yes.
So that we can hear the main speaker, if that's all right.
Cool. Oh yeah, it's quite. We're all adapting to this online life, aren't we? And it's we're getting there. But whoever's just joined, I just keep hearing a doorbell. I'm thinking, I've never been this popular before.
I know. Abby's just arrived. Hi, Abby.
I was going to say, Kelly, while we've been talking about children and families, and now maybe the third and final poem might fit in here, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to listen to it, and then maybe a little discussion afterwards, just so that we can keep to my very, very strict schedule.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't like to go in your prison. But what Edward has just said was completely bang on for me. We need policies changing at the top, but I think just opening to everyday people from all walks of life, things like this, can really start the ball moving. So I'm really grateful for coming. This one is I worked with a group of young lads in a prison near me, and they were young fathers, in fact. And I think I worked with them for 4 to 6 weeks, and it was just to help raise their confidence and basically to help them. They were kids with kids, and then we discussed what they may think their child would think of them in prison, what would they want and looked at things from all different views. And this is from the eyes of a child, so I'll just go straight into it. I think I did this on the podcast, so apologies if anyone's heard this one already.
No, it's good.
Me man's in the big house. I think it's dead posh. My mum's doing bird. I think she's going to be a vet. Me mum's in the slammer. I think she's doing battle raps. Me man's in a cell. I think it's like a cellar. My mum went off the rails. I think she was on a tram. My mum's doing time. I think she's learning about clocks. My mum's doing a stretch. I think she's learning yoga. My mum's being taught a lesson. I think she's being a teacher. My mum's got a cat C. I think she prefers dogs. My mum's living on a wing. I think she can fly. My mum's at work. I think. Thank you. And that comes from all those stories of not telling your child you're in prison. Not that I'm saying it's right or wrong. That's all just, you know, the most biased book ever from a poet's eyes in a prison. But just how a child may interpret language and things if they're not told the full truth. There's so many people now that still think they're visiting the mum or dad in work. And if that works for you as a family, that is great. But I think the main thing with that is to clearly communicate what you want your child to think, because if they misinterpret it, something that they could really worry and have worse mental health. So that's where that came from. And that's my 3 poems. But out of anything I've said tonight, has it triggered anything in your heads? Does anyone want to add anything? I know we've had a couple of people, or any ideas for more workshops like this, because this is a pilot. What you'd like to see, and also how would you think others would come on? What would make it easier? Because I know when I first started going in prisons, it was dead hard to get the classroom full. And then I did an open mic on the wing one Christmas Eve, and the hardest lad in the class did this poem about his mother dying, and then he had loads of people coming in, and it's breaking those boundaries and barriers. And it's the same with doing anything like this as well, because we're talking about those things that we don't really want to talk about. My uncle's in prison, my mum's in prison, or whatever. Is anyone want to say anything at all? It can't be silly, it can't be wrong. It may be something I've already said. Is anyone there? Because I don't know who's on. I can just say like square. And it's okay if you don't, but I wanted to just open up a chat like we were, you know, in Costa pretending life was normal. Is that Connor?
Oh, hey.
Hi Connor,
Yeah.
are you unmuting to speak?
No, you just got a notification. I've got nothing to add at this point, mate. I'll chat it. I'll chime in later whenever I've got something to say, but right now I don't.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's because you lifted your hand.
I remember when we were working at school at a school on a summer week, and 2 of the kids were the most strikingly like uncomfortable and pushing back all the while, and we didn't know why, and then one of them said, "Oh, well, my uncle's come to visit at the weekend, and he's just come out of prison," and they didn't know all week whether to say. And once they'd said it, then like the next week they'd really settled down. Do you remember those 2, Callie?
Which one was this?
It was one of the summer arts weeks.
We've done about 7.
Yeah, and those 2 kids, once they'd said it, they were much calmer and happier, and you know, it feels like it's one of those things that it's difficult to say. They were only little. They were only about 8 and 10, but they must have been holding it in, and it makes that anxiety comes out as naughtiness, doesn't it? And like so much of that naughty behaviour is anxiety and fear, and that seems to me a shame.
It seems to be very much about, I mean, I seem to see, you know, telling your children whether or not you've been to prison, or children saying things. I mean, it seems that telling the truth seems to be information, and the more you can inform the people around you, the better, you know, they're going to be in a better position to assist you. And you're not having to hold anything in. So kind of, if we're able to kind of maybe teach some kind of, I don't know, this some kind of ability to share information to children. I don't know, it would be like critical thinking classes in school, but it's something that I've kind of like discovered throughout my life. It's, you know, if you inform people, you know, the reason I can't make it is because I have probation, you know, that can actually be more beneficial than saying, oh, you know, something else. So I think it's valuable to be able to share.
Absolutely, no, absolutely, I agree with that. And before,
can I chime in real quick? I think that all this has to do a lot with the child's ages as well, coming out, like whatever, how old they are, because at some point can't process that information, you know. And the fact where you're lacking, whenever you're lacking a mother or a father or a parent or guardian of any kind, it's always going to be an emotionally volatile time period. And that's why I don't think there's one blanket rule that applies to every case. You know, in that situation, there's no blanket thing. It's got everything has to be case by case, which is the issue with so many of these. Because if you try to put in a system, the system is always someone.
Absolutely. Completely, there's no like one tick box for everyone. The rule with female offenders, what I've worked with, is a mother and baby wing and unit, which is heartbreaking but beautiful as well, because the baby is with their mother, and that does not matter. They're having milk from the mum. They have no idea that they're in prison, and depending on the mother's sentence, sometimes I've seen it happen. At 18 months, whatever's happening with the mum, the child is released. That's the rules at the moment. But if the mother's sentence is before that, they've gone out, and that child, some of them may never know that experience has taken place, which I think that's the perfect world of a prison of a baby, isn't it? So the child's not affected. But that completely, Connor, there's no set rule for everyone. And it's about finding the bespoke needs for everyone in the system, isn't it? So.
And it seems to be that our system as it is a system which kind of keeps our permanent records with us throughout our lives. These paper records that we disclose when we go for jobs, or we try to do new things. So we've got this paper record with our criminal record on it. Yeah. Obviously there's work being done on that at the moment, but still, yeah, that whether that paper record works for children, whether a child wants on their record parent in prison, because that's information that could help them, but also, yeah, it's about this balance of giving as much information as possible, but also not forcing people to reveal what they don't want to reveal. Julia's just messaged me about, I did not admit to my mum for over a year that I was on probation, and finally doing that was it was information, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and it was interesting. I don't know why you didn't tell me, except that maybe stigma was in there somewhere.
So that's
so. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why do we necessarily feel that it matters whether you tell the child or not?
Sorry, can you repeat that? My microphone went a bit funny then.
Why do we feel that it matters whether you tell the child or not? Like, how do you feel that will affect the outcome inside the situation? Because telling that child, where I'm getting at it with it is basically the majority of children who have a parent that is in prison, is either currently or is going to, in the near future, probably be surrounded by people whose lifestyles are filled with criminality.
Okay.
So I think that the main question is, how can you give a child who is seeing loads of criminality and criminal behavior and criminal gains, how can you then balance that out and show them something else to help influence them away from that, instead of continuing a cycle that they've been born or raised up in?
Are you saying that, like, that better to avoid like the shame or the stigma of prison and talking about that, but maybe putting in something more positive in its place?
No, but I mean, like, for instance, there's always going to be stigma around prison because people are always going to see it as a negative thing, because you have to break certain rules to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And these are rules that society have said we should not break.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no matter what, if you go there, there is going to be stigma around you.
Yeah.
You have to kind of like.
True. Very good.
you have to take that on board. So in terms of like, but so for instance, now that doesn't mean that, yeah, you shouldn't be able to change your life, or it should affect your children or stuff like that. But the majority of the prison system, they're coming from poverty. They're coming from neighborhoods where benefits, crime, and all of these type of things are normal.
Yeah.
So to break these cycles and stuff like that, you have to start from where they're young.
Absolutely. And that, I suppose,
and it's not necessarily by saying, oh, your dad's a criminal and that's bad or that's okay, because that information is irrelevant.
Because everyone around there will probably be in our prison. Is that what you're saying?
His life or her life growing up,
yeah,
is gonna be filled with these experiences, and that's what's gonna shape them. So unless you can make a difference, then it's very hard.
That's a really good point, though, because that's another sector of society, the main kind of build-up of who is prison, like you have said, and it is different for everyone. But I think we would all agree, I think, that kind of getting the child at such a young age is the only way to kind of steer away from that. But it's so hard, and I see it all the time. If your family are all dealing drugs or dealers and you're born into it, I've worked with a lot of travellers in prison, and that's a very complex area, because it's a part of the culture and where they're from, and some of the things that might be against the law, actual law, well, it's not to them, it's because it's what they believe. So it's I wish I had all that. I wonder how Boris Johnson feels. That was mine.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean like I want answers. It was just
no, I get it. It's great. It's great that
I didn't want anyone to be able to tell me the answer. It was just a thought.
No, absolutely. But what a great point there.
Yeah.
So start thinking about the different, you know, why do we follow the law? Because not because it's moral, but because it's legal. But you know, which should come first? Because I seem to think that my idea about, like, you know, getting the information out, that's kind of going with honesty or morality before going with complying with the law. But it's those two levels, it sounds like. And I'd be tempted to say, look, be honest, give people as much information as possible. Don't, you know, before you kind of think about the legal elements. But that's just been my 2 pence.
I think there are some situations that unless you're in it, like it's kind of impossible. Like Daniel just said, I suppose if you're honest and you go out at whatever age you are and you go, my mum's in prison, my dad's in prison, and he's around criminality anyway, those children are kind of off to a shit start, because they've got opportunities. They haven't got the opportunities that other kids have naturally just got through poverty, through where they live. And I think that's an area, I suppose that's a really great point, to maybe put some of these on for those areas. You know, those children in society.
But you can't go against the parents', you know, wishes at that point, you know, like if they don't want to remove the child from that, you can't take them. So, you know what I mean? That's no, I'm not saying take them, but you know what I mean? You can't impose your own ideals on, you know, people who are, you know, and all things considered, I don't see a problem with it.
I think that's a really important point, Connor, that so much of the
you say, but the thing is, sorry, can I just say something? Because you say that you can impose ideals on other people's children and stuff like that. But for instance, kids are forced to go to school. Yeah. If you don't go to school and follow a certain curriculum, then your parent can be fined, sent to prison.
Yeah, very good point.
So, and that's a lot of hours out of a child's life.
Someone's imposing something, yeah. But I guess that we want to do in this kind of work, we want to not rather than impose, just create the space for chat, for conversation. I think that's the
no, exactly. Obviously, you can't like say, "Oh, I'm going to take people's kids," and you know what I mean. No, so I do what I want to do and stuff like that. But I mean that, you know, for instance, like inside schools and stuff like that, you know, in terms of what they teach Like there could be classes that are put on that are like specific to these type of conversation and these type of things, and to like help like broaden a child's horizons. Like don't just make them think about GCSEs and I have to pass this test, and if I'm not smart enough to get this, I'm gonna be this for the rest of my life. Like thinking that they have to cap themselves at a certain thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, limited beliefs you talk. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Agreed.
I've never come across some kind of like kind of class or workshop for children working with prisoners. I'm imagining that there are. Well, yeah, Jenny, you've run them.
Yeah, there are, and I was just thinking from what's come up now, of course you can't impose these things, but to just have them available and for people to know that they are available to freely enter them, you know, as in
gentle impositions.
Yes, and what Danon said, school, you're forced to go to school, but maybe something like this to within a school, so they're there then to do it anyway would be a great way forward. Something like with that population, because I do actually go in schools myself a lot, doing kind of that, but just pure poetry.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really glad that this is being recorded, because I think we will go through this, pick out some topics for either discussions of this group or maybe some workshops in the future.
I think just the fact that different people have brought their experiences and points to it, this as a pilot has been successful, because that's what I wanted. And just for people to talk and say, because it's, you know, sometimes people get really riled up because of their own experience to it. And everyone has a different view, don't they? You can't help where you're born. If you're really, really rich and with a silver spoon, as people say, that's not your fault. If you're born on the streets, that is not your fault. You are from where you're from. So it's about building societies and helping one another as much as we can. That's what I try and do. That's what I'm about.
Well, I'll tell you what, so we've gotten to 1917. I think that was a brilliant discussion. So do we have any kind of further points for that? Anyone's burning to say? If not, right, so now we have something of a digital, virtual, online poetry slamaganza. So we're going to start off with a performance by Jermaine. I've sent a few of you short verses of poetry, a lot written by prisoners, and some people might have brought their own work in. But what I'd like to do is go around, we'll start with Jermaine. After Jermaine, I'll jump in. And we're going to try and somehow all get a performance done. Any questions?
Oh, I'm excited to sit back and watch now.
This is it. I mean, I think I've sent people things to perform, and if there is a kind of moment of silence, I've got more that I'll say. So Jenny, if you have something prepared, that'd be great. Julie, maybe you have something, maybe you don't. I can send a magic. I'm going to send. Actually, no, I don't have time, but yeah. So we're just gonna go and throw down whatever it is we have. If that's all right.
What's the order?
I think it's going to be whoever shouts the loudest. I don't think there's going to be an easy way to kind of work
alphabetical order.
Alphabetical. Do we have? We don't have everyone's names, I don't think. If
I can tell you.
Well, how about? Oh yeah. Well, if you've got the names, that'd be brilliant. So yeah, we could come back to you. You can announce the name, and then we go.
Okay.
Yeah, and if someone doesn't have something to read, just say pass.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I think Edward then.
Wait, no. I said we're starting with Jermaine. Jermaine is opening, and then
sorry.
Go.
Are we ready? Yeah.
We're ready for you, Jermaine.
Yay!
Always.
All right. It's not exactly a poem. It's a cappella version of verse 2 of my song "Stop the Bloodshed UK." See it much in my t-shirt. So what? Just fire away, yeah.
Fire away.
Stop the Bloodshed UK. In tribute and memory of my deceased friend Maxwell, 2018. Hold on, put it here so it's not wobbling about. Stop the bloodshed. Put the knives down. Yo, I'm sick of seeing people shedding tears. Yeah, there's too many kids losing life now over postcodes, girls and drugs, because they want to be thugs. From the ghetto in the hood, it's like we're living by that stereotypical look. It's not good. Put the guns down. Concentrate on getting money. Living life and living good where there's no hate. It's all love, but it's like we can't help it. We take it for granted that we stand where we stood. No, it can't really be that hard to understand. When you're dead, then you're gone forever. Never coming back now. Is that understood? Yeah, we only get one chance. That's a blessing. Trust me, true story. If I could, I'd put the hearse in reverse. Resurrect my brethren. Life can be a curse, yeah. Life can do your head in. What you want to tell your kids that daddy's doing life or daddy got murdered? Living a street life. Have you ever heard of no parole, a mandatory life? They say, live by the sword, then you will die by the knife.
Wow.
Okay, this is Twister, written about a past relationship. Two twisters, mad with liquor, momentum moves quicker. We destroyed two cities when we came together. Bruised sky of spilled ink. We are maelstroms and we burn forever. Peach don't break, but break is the meta. With a shard so hard it changed the weather. It splintered. In fury you smite that last survivor. We could have been done for. Our crackling spirits flashed with anger, so I turned faster. You were banished. The plane was mine, the pain was fine. They tore away what was mine, but fire burns and on I shine. Glass glints, teeth flints, my composure strained. I stretched and sparked, wretched in the jazz bars, blowing through the blues bars, illuminating silhouettes of naked women. My compulsion pulled, I was all-consuming. Their eyes rolled, it was soothing. I reached into their souls still moving, sucked flickering spirits burning, smoked like cigarettes. I turned and gorged them, absorbed them, started roaring as their turmoil fueled me. Through chaos, I paused, I thought you called me. The vultures laughed, the echo fooled me. Wrath and anguish build inside me. I tear down a world that's built around me. Now, is it Eduardo? Who's still in the room?
It's Edward.
Okay. Got a story to tell because I'm trapped in a cell. The devil in hell got me trapped in a spell. And there's, hold on one second. And there's 7 different levels to this hell that I'm in. That's 7 different bells that the devil is gonna ring.
Kim, you would
That's a short one. Yeah.
I like that.
Bell number 1, that relates to my peace. The devil won't let me get a good night's sleep. Taunted by screams, tortured by scenes, haunted by dreams of law-breaking schemes. Bell number 2, that relates to reality. Facing up to my mistakes is creating my reality. But is it all about me? Selfishness and vanity? Because what hurts the most is breaking up my family.
Do we have something from Danon? Connor?
Yeah, I got something. I got a wee limerick. All right. I've never really been fond of wine. Its fruits are like any other vine, regarded solely by environmental genetics. Pseudo-sommeliers swear in their prophetics. Nah, mate, taste is just the blind leading the blind.
Julie Maxwell?
Oh, okay. Behind the shadowing tree lurks a horror. Shifting, scratching. I'd stay away, but I'm drawn close. Despite my gut's urgent stabs, shriveled courage turns colour grey. And moving there, it grabs a hem, a hand, a heartbeat. There's a black void where life once was, drained, dragged, falling to meet the end.
Do we have anything from Abby? Or Daisy?
No, thank you.
Can we finish with one by you, Johnny?
Yeah, of course, of course. Okay, this is a true story. It was it's called High Risk, and you'll find out what it is if I read. Am I risk, me miss? Okay, I said. Yeah, miss, high risk. Did you hear? Am I risk, me miss? High maintenance, you mean? Nah, mate. Prison mask dissolved, boyish banter weakened, little boy poised inside adult body with facial hair piercing surface of chin, no wisdom yet birthed. High fucking maintenance, he said. Little boyish tantrum nourished with nicotine, stained memories and spiced up narcotic notions erupted rapidly in classroom. He'd found himself lost for an opponent of his words. Miss, I miss being missed. No one misses me no more. What do you miss the most? I asked. Sex with a wife and a curry. Thank you. Who wouldn't miss a curry, eh?
Oh, don't. Oh, let's
Miss it now.
Praise. I think that we've done pretty much a full hour of not too many awkward silences, halted conversations, or awkward moments.
I'm really, really grateful of this night because obviously I'm a skint poet flogging my book every night on different Zooms, but this was different to collaborate with your CIC, and it's gone exactly how I wanted it. People have come on, they've got involved, they've talked, and we've got some ideas to go forward to tackle different areas of stigma. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think we've got two things that we might shout out about as well. One is how we might get your book, Jenny, because I for one haven't got one yet.
I'll put the link on. It's the whole £5, but if you want it, it's more.
Bargain.
Yeah. Might
Yeah.
get two.
We want it with your autograph in it, of course. That's more difficult. And the second thing is, of course, our poetry competition, which is open to all, and there's something in it for everybody, because that's how we like to operate. So if you don't want to write a poem, we'd love you to read one. And if you don't want to read a poem, we'd love you to write one. And otherwise, read and express and use words in a happy way, because that's what they're for.
I think I had one last thing. That is that this 56 minutes so far. 57 minutes has been recorded. If anyone is unhappy with a recording being sent out, do contact us. We will be editing it, or even if you want to have a look at the preview before it's sent out, I will be editing this for about the next week.
Just drop your email in here if you want it, or contact Callie.
We can have credits, we can have whatever you like.
Yeah.
But I'm just absolutely psyched. So thank you everyone for coming.
One thing that I was going to suggest, just to end it nicely, is at the end of every workshop, when I'm in a prison, I use beanbags and balls, and obviously I can't throw beanbags at you. Just to go around and give a word of how you're feeling. It could be anything. It could be anything. You might need a wee. Everyone just to go around and give a quick word of how they're feeling. If you're up for that, to wrap it up.
Yeah, spectacular.
Okay. Hungry.
Lucky.
Inspired.
Happy.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Awesome.
Cool. Is that everyone?
Thank you so much for having me.
That means the last one now. Happy.
You are welcome. And I haven't heard anything from Daisy yet.
Yeah, Daisy Wiltshire, get out.
I'm here. I'm just listening. I'm taking it in because I joined late, so I was just enjoying.
You got one word, Daisy.
Intrigued.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you for everyone's participation.
Thank you.
Yeah, over and out, I reckon. I think the directors are gonna so Jenny, myself, Kim, maybe we're gonna stay in and gossip, discuss everyone's outfits, etc. But the rest of you, thank you so much.
Can I just tell you all a secret? I've got pajama bottoms on.
I've got a bottle of wine behind me. Oof.
I am from Salford. What more do you expect?
Outfits for what?
You got what? She's from Salford.
I'm just joking, saying I've got my pajama bottoms on.
Thank you.
I thought you said something about outfits like we was going on stage or something. I was like, what?
We're going to sit together and gossip now.
Leg warmer.
Bye, everyone.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Have
Bye.
a powerful evening.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Good to meet
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Goodbye, my friend.
Bye all.
Bye.
Mother and Abby. I think Abby Danan. Yep. So,
thanks for coming, everyone.
Do I have permission to open my...
I'm going to stop recording now, or should I keep on recording?
Oh, I'll keep on recording. We'll just edit that bit out.
Who is...
I'm just going to end the meeting for all of our visitors. Okay. Okay. So now this is just us. Okay.
Okay, I better get a glass.
Well done, guys. Really well organised and structured and really interesting and great flow. Really great flow.
Callie arranged that so well, directed brilliantly.
But she forgot her wine glass, so her organisation skills are not 100%.
Not that great.
So,
but 98%, she's pretty damn good.
I didn't want to like rub it on, because